before we start today's masterclass, Why to How in Product Management, I'd like to give you all a brief about Pragmatic Leaders. We built Pragmatic Leaders as a bridge for mid career technology professionals to confidently change roles or careers. We are on a journey to link training to employment and build holistically better alternatives to colored alternatives in specialized technology business roles like product, growth, marketing, and more. We run pay after placement programs in product management for working professionals looking to transition or upskill that are completely online and case study based, taught by global industry leaders. Our unique approach has resulted in 79% placement success with an average 50% salary hike for our learners who are now building products for companies like PayPal, Paytm, Walmart Labs, Amazon, Cardekho, LimeRoad, and more. You can check out our programs on our website www.pragmaticleaders.io. I'll be adding the link of the website in the chat section. Uh, our speakers for today's session are experienced product leaders. Today we have Kirthana AK, Senior Product Manager at Zynga, Anupam Yashvardhan, Group Product Manager at Meesho, Ravi Kaushal, Senior Product Manager at Cardekho, Lakshmi Harikumar, Marketing Director at MoEngage. So we welcome you all and we are really excited to have you all as speakers with us today. With this note, we can begin the master class with the first session on the topic, Finding Your Why to Product Management with Kirthana AK. So Kirthana brings in 12 plus years of experience. She loves to solve problems with products. Currently, she is working as senior product manager at Zynga and leading a team that conceptualizes and releases new casual games for the studio. She was also selected as one of the top 50 in potential women entrepreneurs for women startup program at IIM Bangalore. So for here now, I would like to hand over the session to Kirthana. Uh, yeah, Kirthana, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Cool. So hi everyone. My name is Kirtana, and today I'll be talking about a topic which is how to find your why to product management. Why do you want to be a product manager? Essentially, what does a product manager do, and things like that, so that it becomes clear in your mind if you are choosing this career path. What does it entail? So to begin with, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. Like I said, my name is Kirtana. I am a senior PM at Zynga. What I do essentially at Zynga is I make games. I come up with concepts to make games. When the games are getting baked or developed, I give my inputs. I am there for launch and to measure success. If it does good, that is great. And if it doesn't, I also am there to break those games and start over all again. Right? That's what I do at Zynga. Now, what will we be talking about today? Today, I want to talk about a very common question that comes across in conversations and forums, which is, I am X, can I be a PM? So to answer that question, we'll be talking about who is a PM, what do they do, what are the kind of skills that are required. And after we do that, we'll be re-looking at the same question, I am X, can I be a PM? Once we do that, let's validate with data and see whether all our assumptions, whatever we did in the talk, is right or wrong. That's what my talk will briefly entail today. Now, what do I mean by I am X, can I be a PM? So I see a lot of questions, which is like, I am a customer success manager, or I'm in marketing, I'm an engineer, I'm a data analyst. Can I be a PM, right? So to answer this question, let us understand what exactly is a PM, and then we can come back and answer this. So who is a PM? There is a lot of jargon surrounding the word product manager. Some people say they're problem solvers at scale, they're mini CEO, CEO of product, designers, scrum master, product owner. So there is a lot of jargon surrounding it, right? So everyone is kind of confused what exactly a PM does. So I'll just talk about it. So basically what I mean to say is there's a lot of confusion. People think different things about what a PM does. So let's just go through a PM journey and let's see what exactly a PM does, right? The first step is what PMs do is they identify problems, right? So when you're a PM, you get a lot of information from different sources. When you're a B2B PM, you will be getting requests from sales, you'll be getting requests from customers, you'll be getting inputs from execs. When you're a B2C PM, you'll have a lot of data. And when you dig deep into the data, you'll see a lot of problems, right? So there will be a bunch of problems that will always be there on your plate. Some of the problems may become opportunities, so we should never ignore what those problems are. And here is also a place where you kind of get overwhelmed with all these problems. So as a PM, you should be open to it, and then let's see what to do with all the problems you identify, right? That is going to be step 2. So PMs have to prioritize the problems. So if you see, I put a very cheeky example over here where a salesperson is asking for a unicorn. Generally happens a lot in B2B scenarios where, things are promised which don't exist, or which don't, like for example, a unicorn doesn't exist in the universe, let alone in your product universe, right? So that time it becomes very important to understand or distill what exactly is the customer need. For this cheeky example, you could say, why is the customer even needing a unicorn? Is there some other reason, or is there some other need? So you will need to go deep and understand what exactly is the problem that you're trying to solve, and then only you need to solve it. There's another way to prioritize that is called as cost benefit analysis, which is I'm spending X resources or X time, and would the benefit actually be relative to the cost that I'm putting in, right? That is a way to prioritize. Then there is also a way where what is called as company strategy. Let's say a company wants to get into a new market or a new channel they want to explore. So that will also be an input for you to prioritize. Finally, there is something called as short-term and long-term benefits, right? Some solutions are okay for the short term. Maybe in the long term, they will not provide the same outcome as you would expect, right? So you would need to prioritize via short-term and long-term benefits also, right? These, again, these are just basic things how you would prioritize, but it totally depends on context to context. And at any point in time, you should be able to take those abstract ideas and prioritize based on whatever framework that you want to use at that point in time. What else does a PM do? So a PM also has to de-scope and also solve at scale, right? So if you saw in the last example, your sales person told you that they need a unicorn, but what the customer's problem is, her daughter has a birthday and she loves ponies, right? I'm just taking very basic examples to help you understand how things work. So the problem is different from the solution that was offered. So it becomes really important to understand the problem. Once you understand the problem and you have a sense of the solution, it is also important to see whether the solution is scalable. Is this only this particular customer's need? Is it something that all my customers are saying, all my users are facing this problem or not, right? And then only you will have to go and solve it. Now, the other thing also when you're descoping and solving is you need to see what part of the problem is getting validated. Do you have to build the entire feature? Do you have to build the entire solution? Or only a part of your solution is enough to validate that problem statement that you are talking about? A very good example of this is when a lot of entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of resources at stake, they do what is called as a click test. They put out landing pages or just one page of website of what is the problem that they're solving, and they'll see how people are responding to it by doing what is called as click test, and then they go and build the actual product, right? So that is just an example of how you would de-scope and solve the problem. So this is also an important aspect of what a PM does. Then another thing that a lot of PMs a lot of PMs face difficulties how to lubricate or ensure that the entire process is clean when they're actually building a feature or when they're actually building a product. So this involves a lot of time communicating with stakeholders across levels, right? You need to convince your execs, you need to convince your team, you need to lay out your vision, you need to say how it can be implemented. There will be a lot of disagreements, and there's a lot of conflicts that can happen at that point in time. Once even the agreement is reached, you will be the go-to person to solve the problems or solve the blockers that come up. You wouldn't have thought of some scenarios which, let's say, the engineers have thought of. So you will have to go step in and give directions at that point in time. Here is where not just understanding the problem, but understanding the entire system, the product as a whole, comes into picture so that you can give valid solutions, right? So this is what I call as lubricating. And finally, the most important thing here is you need to clarify, and you should never confuse, because for a product manager, confusion, it is a very heavy price to pay because your vision is getting executed. A lot of resources are at stake that you're putting in, right? And at the end of the day, if you confuse right now, the end product or the end feature will also be confusing. So this is another important aspect of being a PM. Finally, let's say you identified the problem, you prioritized it, you built an excellent feature, you were very clear in communication, and you put the feature out in the market. Now you would have to experiment and measure whether whatever assumption you started with, whether it is holding good or not. For example, let's say you started with, I'm going to raise this metric X by Y. Did it actually raise, right? So you will have to do that measurement. If it didn't work out, you will have to see whether the feature itself has a problem, or whether the kind of messaging or the kind of surfacing that you're doing or whatever it can be, is there a problem with that? So you will experiment with alternatives. If still it doesn't work, you will have to go back and iterate the entire feature itself, or you can shelve it. For everything, you will have to say, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm not doing this. And it becomes very important to communicate these things across levels in your company, right? So all of these 5 things that I said are very important when it comes to being a PM, right? So I'm just going to summarize what I said. So identifying problems, prioritizing it, descoping, solving at scale, communicating effectively across different levels, and measuring, right? These are the important aspects. And for all these are the skills that will help you do it. Data analytics, if you are good at understanding data, exploring data patterns, not like data science or machine learning skills, that is not what I mean. Just to you can take a set of data and interpret it in different ways and understand what it is actually trying to say. That is what I mean. And you will have to have very clear communication and articulation skills so that all levels are understanding what you're able to say. Problem and system understanding, like I told you about. Problem space understanding. For example, let's say I'm building a game feature. If I know the gaming universe, or like how people in different games play, or how gaming usually solves this problem, I will be in a much better place to solve that particular problem. Finally, stakeholder management across all levels will help you. So these skills are not mutually exclusive, right? I'm just telling you at each phase, what are those things that will help you. Again, here I'm listing down the skills where levels where each of these skills become very important. If you're a junior PM, it will be very good to have an understanding of data. If as you become better with communication and articulation, you'll go towards the next role. So that is how it is. Okay? And again, this depends on context. Every company is different. The way they have PMs is different. The way things PMs do is different. The culture is different. So it depends on case by case basis. Given all these skills, right? Oh, there are so many skills and they're so ambiguous, right? Usually there comes a question, okay, if I'm not good at everything, should I even become a PM? What does it mean? Like, I don't check all these boxes, right? So for that, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to give myself as an example. So there are things that I'm good at, there are things I'm not so great at. I'm good at understanding problems, I'm a good communicator, I'm good at data, I'm still okay at managing stakeholders, I'm learning, and I will learn as I go, right? So no one is really good at everything. So it is okay to be checking a few boxes and then later on learning on the journey. Now that we have spoken about all of these things, let us go and look at the original question, which is, I am X, can I be PM? Right. So we took 3 examples at that time. So there is a customer success manager, data analyst, or an engineer. So what I would say is, don't look at your role or your designation now. Think of what is it in that role that makes you want to be a PM. For example, let's say you're a customer success manager and you know exactly your customer needs and you also know how to solve it. Then you are well on your path to become a PM. Let's say you're a data analyst, day in, day out, you're working with data, you're able to identify the problems, but you also know a way to solve it. Then definitely you can become, your thought process of becoming a PM has already started. A lot of people think MBA is a prerequisite to become a PM. It is not that case. For example, you're an engineer and you want to become a PM. A very good point to start is you can think beyond tech. A lot of engineers, they focus on the problem, how efficiently to build that solution. But there will be some engineers who think of what the feature I'm building, or whatever I'm building today, how is it affecting my product as a whole, right? Though they will become excellent PMs, right? So wherever you are in your journey, whatever role you are currently doing, it doesn't really matter. You can become a PM if you start thinking about the problems that exist beyond your role. Okay. Now again, this is an assumption. This is my assumption, or is it something that is validated with data? So here again, I'll give you an example, and this is also a personal example, right? So I was an engineer, I moved to pre-sales, then I was a customer success manager, then I became a PM. I don't have an MBA. I worked with a lot of startups and I identified that, I can solve business problems. I like business more than tech. I also want to be an entrepreneur in the long run. So I wanted to take up this PM role because it gives me a breadth of experience across the product lifecycle. So that is why I thought that I could be a good PM. Like that, everyone will have different reasons to be a PM. Now, you may think, okay, this is an isolated example, right? Maybe not everyone is like that. So what I did is I went to Reddit and I collected some data from a group that is exclusively made of product managers, and I got about 80 responses. So it may be a less number, but this is good qualitative data. And if you see here, I have data of people who moved into PM from different backgrounds, right? There are a lot of people from varied backgrounds. There is tech, marketing, customer success, consulting, analyst, product owner, even from banking sector, they've become a PM. So there is absolutely no prerequisite or this is how it has to be. You can come from any background and you can become a PM. Some of the overarching things or themes that were coming out of this is, a lot of people were saying, I like to build things on my own. I understood customers better. I was more business oriented and not and more than tech. I like to own products and execute my vision and not just be an influencer, right? So these are the themes that were coming around as to why they wanted to become a PM. So given this context about my journey and others' journey and what a PM actually does, I hope it would kind of answer your questions about why you would want to become PM. And maybe you had some assumptions. You can validate with like whatever I shared today to see if those assumptions hold good even now, right? So I hope that my talk, this is where I end my talk, and I hope that you have a good context of what do you want to do next and how do you want to do it, right? So again, thank you for listening to me. My name is Kirtana. You can reach out to me on Gmail or LinkedIn, and I would be happy to answer your questions.